All right, looks like we're live. I'm going to assume we're live because I can see myself, which is great. Hello, everybody. I think you know who I am. I'm the guy who keeps bugging you with all my videos and all of my welcome screens. This is an exciting day for me. One of these projects that, if you've worked on projects like this for I guess, for a good number of years, 5 years now. This is AdviceTech.LIVE, and my name is Adam Holt. And for those of you that have shown up that are part of our community, we're really excited to have you and be here. And we really hope you take advantage of all of the fun things we put together in this event. It's a learning event. It's an exposure event. It's an intimacy event. And we hope that you take those opportunities, despite your busy days, I'm sure, running your companies, as an advisor or as a tech advisor, whatever you're doing, we're excited that you're here. One of the things that we're going to talk a little bit about in this session is, if I can share my screen here, is we're going to talk a little bit about the theme in the morning part here. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the history of AdviceTech.LIVE, because it's been really kind of an amazing journey over the past 5 years. When the first time we actually came up with this, we found that there was really a lack of advisors hearing what's being new in fintech and so forth. And of course, for those of you that travel to conferences and you go to see the booths and you see the latest tech, that's great, but it costs a lot of money. It was a lot of effort. And certainly during the pandemic, that was something that got shut down for many of us. So we created this idea with a couple of fintech CEOs and said, let's get some exposure out there for what we're building. And so we really started off as a pet project that has now touched hundreds of thousands of individuals through our charitable endeavors and so forth. So it's really quite amazing, and we're excited and blessed to be part of this. There's a lot of media following this, so I would expect that you are seeing this live. That means you're going to also see a lot of the follow-up media that's coming from this stuff. And one of the things that was really important to us when we created this event is we saw too much this kind of for-profit effort of, someone's got to monetize this thing. And so we decided that if we had any money left over after our project that we all co-funded, this huge party, we kind of like a smorgasbord, we all brought something to the party, all of us in fintech, we would have any left over, we would actually give back to our community. And so this was a great opportunity that started to trend. We see a lot of people are trying to follow this now, but we're really excited to say that we've generated over $140,000 now for charities that are touching our industry, our community. And you'll see some familiar names from the schools that have benefited and created scholarship programs, as well as some other opportunities to honor people that were important in our industry, like Gavin Spitzner, who we lost last year, as well as other great programs from the diversity and inclusion from CFP board, and also pro bono financial planning. And so I'm really excited this year to introduce our benefactor partner, who is Philly Financial Literacy Week. And Nisiar is joining us here. If we can bring him on stage, I really want to introduce him. And also we're going to watch a quick video to help understand the great work that he's doing right now. All right. Did we see that? Oh, we would love to see that video that we have teed up. If we can't do it, you'll let us know.
I was talking about generational wealth. In essence, I was able to create that generational wealth through a business, right? To be able to transfer the business to my son and have him run it. Major. And so it's in the family, but also real estate, teaching it to your kids so that they know how important it is. And now I'm like happy to say my daughter's in the audience. She's working for this organization now. She's in housing. So just imagine the power of, having that knowledge in real estate and being able to create like generations.
And I'm assuming that we're not going to get that feedback, but one of the things that I think is really just amazing is because kind of perhaps actually Nisiar, if you could actually,
you are working as an artist, right? You are making money out there, charging for your services, either on a contract or a W-2 employee. Either way, that is you working. That is your labor translating into dollars that help you live your life in some capacity. It pays for meals, pays the rent, pays the car payment, the student loans, whatever. That's fine. That's you working to generate income. But over here, your income, your money has to be working for you as well. You can work 40, 50, 60, 80 hours a week, but your money works 24/7 and forever.
But then also sprinkling in some resources as well that allow people to take the education that they were, being privy to and applying it to their real lives.
And it sounds like they are hearing the audio live, so we just couldn't hear it.
It's one of the most painful things, and it's much more common than you could anticipate. And that's why technology is really intended to take away the paper and really the lack of empowerment, because you have no idea what's going on, right? And so it helps to really store everything and help that estate management process be as seamless as possible, because you're already dealing with so much pain in losing a loved one already.
And if you don't quite qualify at the moment, don't be discouraged, because my agency, we're going to work with you to get you to that finish line. We literally, I like to call us the Amazon of housing. We are A to Z. We're going to be with you until you get those keys in your hand.
Then all of a sudden, it's wealth all at once, but it took 10 years, 20 years to get there. That's why the earlier we start, the better. We always say the best day to start investing, Mark, was?
Yesterday.
The next best day?
Today.
Amen.
All right. Sounds like that means the video is over. And now we can chat like normal people. We're figuring it out. So we appreciate everybody's flexibility with us in this thing. Well, first of all, thank you for being here, and thanks for the great work you're doing. Help us understand what you're doing at Philly Financial Week and kind of what's the good work you're doing, bigger vision. Love to know what you're doing.
Yeah, so Philly Financial Literacy Week was started approximately 8 years ago out of a church here in the middle of North Philadelphia. I had just started my career in financial services at the time, and went home, kept going home to my family and expressing to my friends all of this information that they were, locked out of. And so I called my best friend at the time and I told her, I said, look, I got this idea of how I want to give back to the underserved communities of Philadelphia. And the way I want to do that is through financial education. And she said, let's do it. And so we started hosting free financial education workshops outside, on the second floor of a church that I grew up in, again, in the middle of North Philadelphia. And then we started doing programming again every Saturday and realized that we were only touching a very small portion of Philadelphia. And so we sort of made this a theme that was honored by Philadelphia City Council, the U.S. House of Representatives, that establishes the third week each year in October as Philly Financial Literacy Week, where we do programming in schools and in the community, all free to those that want to, participate. And so this past year, I'll just read you some of our numbers, because I think the data is also important to sort of highlight as well. We had 125 individuals registered for our actual conference that ends. This is what this was displayed during the video. We also touched 100 classrooms, which encompassed 2,500 students. And some interesting stats that came from that, Adam, if I can continue here, is that, for all of my, I'm assuming that there's many advisors that are on this platform right now, but I want to bring this to you all's attention. I wrote about this on LinkedIn, but 90% of the students, and we got this data right from the field while we were there with the students this year, but 90% of those students, which is around 2,250 students, reported that they are currently using Cash App as their primary banking platform. Right, for a number of reasons. One being ease of access, right? So Cash App permits account openings from the age of 13. The second being peer influence, right? Other people that are also in the same age demographic, and that's how they're transferring money, amongst one another. A big one that was alarming for me, which is a part of the fight that we do at Philly Financial Literacy Week, is there's a distrust of the financial institutions. Many students voice a lack of trust in traditional banks, citing negative experiences and stories within the whole family dynamic. So that just that's just a high level overview of what this past year was, and a little bit about how Philly Financial Literacy Week got started.
No, that's great. And look, I mean, one of the things that we really wanted to do this year was to invest locally as opposed to nationally. But in our conversations, you've expressed that you want to take this model and hit other cities. So what's the big vision that we can all get behind and participate in?
The big vision is, so what started as a local initiative is now becoming a nationwide march, right? And we recognize the plight that's here, and the paradigm that sits around financial education is that it takes a village, right? It's not one organization, it's not one person that's doing the work. It's a collective unit. And I'm hoping that people that are, donating to us, but then also hear a part of Advice Tech is also willing to roll their sleeves up and get in and fight. We were just recently contacted by the city of Houston to bring our model to their city because they desperately need it, and want somebody that's already entrenched into all of, what needs to happen to make this a successful event.
Fantastic. No, that's great. I appreciate you sharing. And on the screen, we're going to share actually a way for anybody to get involved if they want to. I think it's great if you see opportunities in your cities, in your local regions. I think this is a great opportunity to reach out to Nisiar, and all the stuff that he's doing is really just really cool. It's great to see someone who's going to just go make something happen. So thank you for all the work you're doing. We're going to have opportunities throughout this program as we've committed to our benefactor partner, which basically means we recognize that you're giving to our community. You're making a difference by your efforts and your actions. We're just actually we're benefiting from that. So that's why we call you the benefactor partner. So thank you very much for being here.
We
really
appreciate it.
Respect it. And of course, for all of you that are watching and paying attention to even the recordings, there's a great way to get involved and participate on your own. We've committed, all the fintech companies have committed to making a contribution, which we'll be announcing at the end of the next 2 days. So with that, I really appreciate you. And of course, please get involved, everybody. And I'll say thanks.
Thank you, Adam. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, let's get on to our next section here. We're going to talk a little bit about the theme of this year's ATL, or Advice Tech Live. Elevating the human advisor experience has come up a lot in a lot of conversations and circles in many of us are traveling in, from behavioral finance to all kinds of other descriptions of what's going on here to try to elevate the humans, certainly in light of what's happening in AI and how it can support that experience as opposed to detract from it. So I want to invite my friend, Brian Portnoy, doctorate. Everyone knows him as one of the main thought leaders around behavioral finance, and he agreed to come in and just give us a set us straight as to what's going on in this space. So let me invite Brian to come to the stage here. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello, sir. Good. How are you?
I am good. Thanks for making some time from your crazy schedule. We wanted to, jump right into it. And, there's been so many conversations about what behavioral finance is. Give us an idea. So just set the stage right on how we should be thinking about this whole trend.
Sure. There's just a big transition going on right now, sort of a watershed event in global wealth management, where to date, over the last generation, behavioral finance has been, it's had a negative spin on our humanity. Everything we talk about is biases. And hey, there's confirmation bias, availability bias, the endowment effect. Lo and behold, behavioral finance is actually a much richer set of perspectives, and what we're trying to do at Shaping Wealth and what the whole field of applied behavioral finance is nowadays, behavioral finance 2.0, as we call it, is the opportunity to actually speak to our broader humanity. So it's just not judgment and decision making a la behavioral finance. It's just not emotional intelligence as a skill. And it's just not positive psychology in terms of a scientific focus on happiness and well-being. It's all of these things, but distilled into skills that financial advisors across the world can learn and use and scale in their practices to do two things. Number one, drive better client outcomes, because that's a virtuous thing to do. But two, build stronger businesses with a wider moat. And so that's my perspective on behavioral finance. Yeah, I wanted to throw together just there's dozens of different data points I could point to. I think where the industry is now is we're on this arc from a product focus to a relationship focus. But what does that actually mean? So many firms worldwide are investing in client engagement and client experience strategies, and that's great. But it ends up that our starting point is probably not as good as we think that it is. Three quick data points here that are all relatively recent, footnotes at the bottom. Number one, the FPA polled hundreds of advisors and clients. Are you getting or receiving recommendations based on who you are, on your personal needs and priorities? 90% of advisors said, of course, that's what I'm doing. When they asked the end clients, half of them said, no, that's not even taking place. Think about a conversation in which two people are not hearing what the other has said. Second data point, another multi-hundred survey of advisors and clients asking not just the general public, But those who are receiving financial advice, if anyone to talk to money about, 64% said no. And you say to an advisor, well, what could you be talking about or not talking about that the client wants to? And then there are human topics that we could be diving into that we're not. And then last, a data point from YCharts from a survey they did last year, 3/4 of financial advice clients are thinking about leaving you. It's a little bit in your face as a data point. It's not my data, I'm just reporting it. But the fact is that, we're investing so much in a client experience. Why aren't we connecting better?
It's a great point. It's a great point. I think for so many of us that we've been in financial advice for years, myself as a recovering financial planner, I think we tend to overestimate what contribution we make, but we never actually ask our clients. I'm curious what kind of work you're doing here to help advisors really focus on delivering exceptional advice, the one at least they think that they're delivering, and it's being received that way.
Yeah, so I mean, our starting point, Adam, is that the advisor is both mechanic and guide, both a technical expert in insurance and investments in the States, and at the same time helping other humans navigate uncertainty and change. And we're only leaning into the latter. So at Shaping Wealth, we train the guides on the journey toward financial wellness, toward what we call funded contentment. And like I mentioned at the top, we take all of these disciplines that can be quite academic and tin-eared, like behavioral finance or emotional intelligence, and you bake them into learnable skills. So what we've done at Shaping Wealth is create a learning and engagement platform where you can, in various little ways, big ways, learn new skills, take on a new mindset, where you can bridge that gap between one human connecting with another. And ultimately create wealth management cultures that are not only competitive, but the employees, the advisors, sales, marketing, everybody at a wealth management firm can thrive even better.
Well, I mean, you got to be using technology for this. So how are you elevating this kind of technology environment by bringing ideas?
Yeah. So, like many of us, we believe in a bionic future with both technology and the human coming together. Two things I'd mention. One is that, we've created a pretty, I think it's really cool, always on engagement dashboard called Compass. You are the guide, we are your compass. And there are hundreds going on, thousands of original pieces of content and engagement moments to serve you and your own well-being, to help build your team and build a stronger culture. But then most importantly, shareable client content, drag and drop, videos, blogs, things like that. So Compass is thriving. We've got thousands of subscribers to that, and it's free. So the baseline is free. The QR code and the URL are there, sort of post-it notes on the monitor. And, folks can just kind of, click on that and sign up and see if you like it. It's a very behavioral focus, including a new CE tier. So we have a distinct tier for you to get dozens of hours of CE. The next level of what we're doing is much more cutting edge than even Compass, and it's an AI project called Lydia. So this is from our partners at Ally Studios, experts in AI and cognitive science, and us as content and engagement creators coming together to create a series of conversation agents. Just imagine in sort of a co-pilot type experience, and this will be in Slack or Teams or Salesforce, wherever you want it to live, an always on, highly empathic companion and colleague, highly trained in fine-tuned models of the psychology of financial planning, who in a normal voice with a normal personality can just be a conversation partner, preparing for meetings, giving you top-down business intelligence. And this is something that we're going to be rolling out in the coming months. We're building enterprise partnerships as we speak. And that's Lydia, QR code, meetlydia.ai.
Very cool. So you're actually building in behavioral finance empathy to an LLM so that advisors could use this as a resource to help be more human, or to remind them how to be more human. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, the spirit of this is that what we want to do with technology is not replace people, but enhance people. We want to amplify human brilliance. We want to amplify human creativity. So Lydia is here to be just your guide, a guide to the guides, a coach to the coaches, a partner in your day-to-day workflow, where every Monday you're going to say, I've got the following 7 or 9 client meetings. Let me run my agendas through you. And Lydia is fine-tuned to say, hey, great agenda. Have you thought about asking a question this way? Or, oh, because it's going to be integrated with your CRM, by the way, Adam, it can say, that client sent you an email two years ago. Do you realize that we're kind of repeating the same theme? Is there anything we've learned to date that can help us go forward in a more positive direction now? Or, oh, I'm talking to the Millers now. Do you realize that we had the same conversation with the Clarks 18 months ago? Maybe a solution that worked there can work over here. The sky is the limit in terms of what this technology is going to be able to do, to be a highly empathetic, and we can save for another time. Can artificial intelligence be empathetic? To me, the answer is yes, with a couple asterisk marks to it. But I think the answer is yes, and that's how we've built Lydia.
That's very, very cool. I look forward to seeing this. As this whole event, as we've talked about, really is all about tech that's evolving and helping the human become more human. This is going to be really interesting because it sounds to me like you've got almost like a perspective of a coach kind of behind the scenes of saying, hey, or maybe this is like your mother, like be a good boy and pay attention to what really matters. I think that's really cool to see that you're being mindful about this.
Yeah, we're excited for it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for what you're doing. I appreciate your contributions to AdviceTech.LIVE, Brian, and everything you're doing in industry. With that, we will move on, and I appreciate everything they're doing at Shaping Wealth. Definitely check that out. If you guys didn't see the QR codes, you can obviously find Brian and his team online. And I think that's going to be some really great stuff. We look forward to actually having you display next year what you built at Advice.
We will absolutely be here. Look forward to sharing more with everyone.
Awesome. Very cool. All right, well, let's move to our next section. We're going to talk a little bit about what we're doing for the rest of today in the next 2 days. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to see that the agenda that you probably have seen, you probably started to now play around with AirMeet in there. There's a whole bunch of items that you're going to want to put in your calendar. So I encourage you to go to this. I'm actually going to spend the next let's say 30 minutes at the half hour talking about what we're building at AssetMap, some amazing new tools that we have never shown anybody. Also, then we're going to go into our fintech demos you can see the 5 companies that are going to display: Virgil, Wealthbox, Encore Estate Plans, Blue Leaf, and Holistic Plan, all showing amazing stuff. You're not going to want to miss that. Remember, at the end of that section is when you're going to want to vote for who you think really earned their salt today and really did a great job. We're then going to go into our keynote debate with Aaron, Jamie, and Tyrone. They're bringing great perspective on what's happening in their markets, from a very large firm to a mid-size RIA, as well as a small digitally enabled RIA. So they're going to be talking about some great techniques how they implemented tech in their practice. Then we're going to go to FinTech Demo B with Nitrogen, Redtail CRM, FMG, FP Pathfinder, and Estate Guru. So there's a lot packed into the next couple of hours, and you'll see by 5:40, we'll have finished that. And we're going to do our recap, Allison and I, and talk about what was amazing. What are the takeaways? What can you do? Stay engaged the whole time if you can. Pay attention and be part of the live demos because that's really where we're going to get the most value from this event. Now, tomorrow, just to set the stage, tomorrow is filled as well. You'll notice the time basically from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're going to basically set the stage. I have Craig and Kristen coming. These are experts in implementation in firms of technology. We're going to be interviewing them for the first half hour and asking them what are all the pain points that our advisors are feeling. You're going to also see great demos again. So pay attention, put this on your list if these are companies you want to talk to and see what they're doing. Bento, Tolerisk, Precise FP, Snappy, and FP Alpha are displaying. We'll follow that with the keynote event from David Butler, Michael Kim, and Paul. Actually, I think Mike Lane is going to be doing that section, but for SEI, Dimensional Funds, and AssetMark. You never see these people on the same stage, by the way. These are CEO level people. We can't get them together. What we did for AdviceTech.LIVE, and we're going to show that uniquely for you. You do notice that we're offset about 30 minutes for that section. So it's going to be happening on the half hour. That's because we take that first at 1 o'clock and we basically do that half hour with Craig. We were able to sneak that in. And then we're going to talk to a Group D, which is a lot of our newest companies here. So all the ones that are doing AI specifically are going to be heavily in this category: AssetLink, Estately, Pulse 360, Riser, and Uptick, doing things that nobody has seen. So this is really amazing. And then we're going to close out. We're going to share how much money we raised. We're going to do our awards and so forth. So let's talk a little bit about that from this morning. Obviously, we've done this. I'm reiterating what I just said, but definitely check out these people. And of course, make sure that you're there for these events. What are the ones that really matter to you the most? I think are going to be really exciting. And then lastly, a couple of housekeeping to do. We are doing awards this year, which basically means you have the opportunity to vote. Unlike so many of our industry awards, we never know how did they win? Why did they win? They're going to win because you voted. So I guess we've all in this country just had a recent experience of voting. We know what it takes. You got to show up. So, and that means you can only vote live. So if you're in the live feed, you're not going to be able to, if you're in the YouTube live feed, you're not going to be able to vote, which is why stay in app, stay involved, stay engaged. And of course, make sure that you're there to vote for your favorite techs and so forth, see what they're doing. We also have prizes for you if you're going to get involved. So you're going to engage in the app, you're going to do live chat, make sure you do all the polls. We're going to be counting up that leaderboard, and we have some really cool prizes for everybody who really participates and makes their mark here at ATL. And of course, if you don't visit our sponsors, it's a miss. There's going to be lots of opportunities for you to engage, get free content from many of these companies, as well as discounts and opportunities to take action today. Pretty much all the companies have said they're going to do something special for attendees. And I think it's a great opportunity. You may not get swag and you may not get like another pen case or something from a booth, but gosh, you'll walk away with real value. And so that's how we've designed this. With that, I want to encourage you to really get involved, play around with this app in the next couple minutes, and I'll see you in 1 minute when we come back on stage and talk about the Asset Map slide. Thanks so much to all our partners here. Thanks to Nisiar. Thanks to Brian for joining us. And of course, I look forward to you having a fantastic day.